Imagine standing in an open savanna 300,000 years ago, facing a creature 3 times your size with horns the length of your arm. You have no metal, no gunpowder, and no modern shelter, yet you are the deadliest predator on the planet. How did early humans manage to survive when they were physically outmatched by almost every beast in the wild? The answer isn't just brute strength. It is a story of endurance, engineering, and the most advanced technology of the Paleolithic era, the human brain. When we talk about hunting in the Stone Age, we aren't talking about a lone hero with a spear. We are talking about highly coordinated teams. The most famous technique used by early Homo sapiens was persistence hunting. Humans are the ultimate long-distance athletes of the animal kingdom. While a cheetah can outrun a human, it can only do so for about 30 seconds before it overheats. A human, however, can sweat. We are built to dump heat. By chasing an animal like a kudu or an antelope across the midday sun, early hunters would force the prey to sprint until it literally collapsed from exhaustion. This wasn't a sprint, it was a marathon. It required massive amounts of patience, tracking skills, and the ability to read the signs of an animal on the brink of collapse. But persistence hunting was only one tool in the kit. Around 50,000 years ago, a massive shift occurred. This is often called the Upper Paleolithic Revolution. It wasn't a sudden explosion, but a rapid acceleration in tool complexity. We moved from clunky, handheld stone hand axes to composite tools. Think of this as the invention of the Swiss Army knife. A hand axe is useless if you have to get within arm's reach of a rhino, but if you take a sharp flint flake, sharpen it into a point, and lash it to a wooden shaft using animal sinew and pine resin, you suddenly have a spear. This changed everything. It allowed humans to hunt from a distance. Then humans went a step further. They invented the atlatl, or spear thrower. Imagine holding a stick with a small hook at one end. By placing the end of your spear into that hook, you essentially create an extra joint in your arm. This leverage increases the velocity of the spear from around 30 miles per hour to over 60 miles per hour. With an atlatl, a hunter could pierce the thick hide of a mammoth from 30 yards away. Archaeologists have found evidence of these hunting strategies all over the globe. At the site of Dolní Věstonice in the Czech Republic, dating back 30,000 years, researchers found massive deposits of mammoth bones. These weren't just accidental kills. They were organized, calculated, and massive. To bring down a mammoth, you needed more than just a sharp stick. You needed pit traps. A pit trap was a masterpiece of civil engineering. Hunters would dig a hole 6 feet deep, cover it with branches and leaves, and lure a mega herbivore toward it. Once the animal fell, it was trapped. The hunters could then move in with thrusting spears to deliver the final blow. This demonstrates something crucial. Humans were no longer just reacting to their environment, they were manipulating it. We also have to consider the role of fire. Humans have been using fire for over 1,000,000 years. It wasn't just for cooking or warmth. Fire was a weapon. Hunters would use controlled burns to funnel herds of bison or deer into narrow canyons or swampy bottlenecks where they could be easily surrounded. This is a form of landscape management. It proves that the savage hunter archetype is wrong. These were logistical experts. Of course, hunting wasn't just about the kill. It was about the social glue that held the group together. Processing a carcass took hours of work. The meat had to be stripped, the bones cracked for marrow, and the hides scraped to be turned into clothing. This required a division of labor. Some hunters brought the kill, while others processed the haul. This division of labor is the foundation of the modern economy. It is important to remember that these hunters weren't just eating meat, they were eating information. They knew the seasonal migrations of every herd in their territory. They knew which plants could stop the meat from spoiling and which ones could treat a wound. They were walking encyclopedias of biological data. As we look at the history of our species, we tend to view ourselves as separate from nature. We imagine a clean break from the wild when we started farming 10,000 years ago. But the biological truth is that we spent 95% of our existence as hunter-gatherers. Our eyes, our sweat glands, our social instincts, and our complex language skills were all sharpened in the crucible of the hunt. We didn't evolve to sit in offices. We evolved to solve problems under pressure. We evolved to collaborate with others to overcome impossible odds. Every time you work in a team to solve a complex project, or you plan for a future goal, you are using the same cognitive muscles that your ancestors used to track a stag across a barren plain. We are the descendants of the most successful predators this planet has ever seen. The tools have changed and the prey has disappeared, but the hunger that drove those early humans to push until their muscles burned is the exact same drive that pushes us to explore the stars today. So, when we ask how ancient humans hunted, we aren't just asking about spears and traps. We are asking about the moment humanity decided it wasn't going to be the hunted anymore. We decided to become the masters of our own survival. The hunt never really ended, we just moved the finish line.